Okay guys, we're going to take some notes today on slope-intercept form. So if you will add this to your table of topics, and if you will also head your page. So I have first period's journal, and this is number 17 for them. You number yours accordingly. All right, we're looking at slope, intercept, form. And today is the 7th. Now, you just saw a quick video about slope-intercept form and some of its pieces and what we do with it, and we're going to be using it a lot. So this is just going to be a real quick, here it is, here's the basic things, and then in the next couple of days we'll be doing a lot more graphing with it. All right, so your formula is y equals mx plus b. Now, we've seen this before. We put this on our rate of change page. This is not new information. We've been talking about the m represents slope, or what we had been referring to as rate of change, but now we're calling it slope. All right, we've talked about the b is your y-intercept. So that's where the line intersects the y-axis at. So this is just going to be, can you follow the directions type of thing. If the directions say, state the slope and the y-intercept, then that's what we're going to do. So let's try this first problem. I have y equals 2/3 x plus 2. So all I'm doing is identifying the m and the b. So I would write that m is 2/3. Remember, that's your coefficient of x. It doesn't include x. It's the number in front of x. And b is 2, because it was a plus 2, so that means it's a positive 2. Right? And that's it. That's the only two pieces I pick out, and I move on to the next one. All right, let's do y equals x plus 2. All right, we've talked about this x before. When you don't see a number, you know that there is a 1 understood in front of it. Not that the value of x is 1, but that in front of x, the coefficient is 1. So m equals 1, and b equals 2. Okay, easy as that. All right, number 3. Let's do y equals negative x minus 2. All right, this time I've got a negative sign in front of x, so m will equal, what do you think? That's right, negative 1. And b, don't let them trick you, is going to be negative 2 because it's minus 2, and that's the same thing as plus a negative 2. So b is negative 2. All right, number 4, y equals 2x. This time I don't have a plus or minus. So m equals, that's right, it's 2. And b equals, since there is no plus or minus, when I graph this line, it's going to go through the origin. So my y-intercept is 0. Okay. All right, let's look at this one. This is a little different. We haven't seen this just yet, but you will be in the coming days. All right, I got y equals 2. There's not an x in my problem. So there are 0 x's, so that means m is 0. And we talked about that on Monday, that 0 slope would be a horizontal line. The slope of our floor is 0, we hope. And then b is the 2. That's our plus or minus number. Okay. Now, here's one we haven't seen yet. X equals 2. If you just have y and it's horizontal, then it makes sense that if you just have x, it would be vertical. So if we have a vertical line, we talked about Monday that m would be undefined, because we can't measure that. That's like the slope of our wall is undefined. And if it's a vertical line, that means it runs parallel to the y-axis, so it will not intersect the y-axis unless this was x equals 0, and it's not. So B would be none. It does not intersect the y. And we'll do more of that later, and you'll understand that more when we graph. Okay? All right, then the last thing that you'll have to be able to do with this, your directions will say, write the equation sorry about that. Write the equation for the given slope and y-intercept. So they're giving you the pieces and they want the equation. So number 1, m equals 3 and b equals 4. So remember, m is your coefficient of x. So I got y equals 3x, and the b is my y-intercept. That's your plus or minus, and it's a positive 4, so plus 4. Okay, pretty simple. All right, number 2, m equals -1/2, and b equals -5. Okay. So y equals -1/2 x, and because it's -5, I can just say -5. All right, and then number 3, m equals 0 and b equals 4. Well, if the slope is 0, we know we've got a horizontal line, and it's horizontal, it's touching the y-axis at 4. So y equals 4. You could put y equals 0x plus 4, but it's not necessary, and you will not see that presented to you in any type of multiple choice as a valid response. All right, guys, be sure you got your notes. Thanks.